Hi, welcome to Bill's Wood Shop. We're making a very special project today for my mom. She has requested for us to build her a quilt rack. And Bill's going to tell you a little bit about what we're going to be doing today.
Well, this is my wife Jan, and she's going to be helping me today. What I've got here is some white oak that's come out of my father's yard. He had it cut down and milled up for me. Got some nice little slabs here, so we're going to start with that. First we got to cut it down a little bit. It's too wide for my planer, but we'll cut it down, run it through the thickness planer, and start getting this ready to cut.
What you doing now?
Well, now that we got it planed down the right thickness, I'm edge joining one edge. I'm using my Stanley vintage jack plane and getting this down flat. Giving her a test here. About there. A few more strokes with this. And then we'll pull out my Lee Nielsen number 4.5 smoothing plane. Nice little shavings. Let's check her out. Looks pretty good. Check it for some wear. That looks good. Now with one edge jointed and square, we can go to the table saw and cut the sides out for the quilt rack. You can get in the hang of it, and I can take me a nap now.
One more?
Yeah.
Okay, honey, what's next?
Well, we've got our 5 slats cut for the rails of the quilt rack, and I've got them taped together. I'm going to square one end, and I'm going to cut the other length at 26 inches over on the saw over here. And our boards here are cut down to 7 inches wide, and I'm going to square one end up, and then I'm going to cut the other end at 32 inches. So let's go over here to the saw and cut that.
Okay, let's do it.
All right, what we've done, we've come down, we've centered the board and came down 3.5 inches because it's a 7-inch wide board. And Jan has the compass, and she's marking an arc across the top of each of the 2 of the sides of the quilt rack. Okay, that's good. Now we've also cut 2 feet to go on either side because this thing will tilt over if you're not careful. So we took some extra scraps of the oak, and we're just using a roll of blue tape to mark an arc on the end of each one so it's not so squared off. It'll be more rounded. And we'll go to the bandsaw and trim those out. We've marked where we want to drill and put our screws, so right now Jan's drilling all the pilot holes. These are the feet. Now she's drilling the pilot holes in the 2 sides of the quilt rack. Now Jan's drilling the holes for the slats. Okay, right now we are putting a round over on the tops of the rails with a round over bed in my router table. Okay, Jan, start it up. Okay, now Jan's doing a round over on the quilt rack sides. Well, Jan has worked very hard. She has sanded all the boards up to 220 grit. Did a very good job, nice and smooth. She had to go to work today, so I'm going to assemble it for her, so when she gets back she can start putting the finish on it. I've already started my screws so far where the rails go, and then where the feet, I'm going to put a little glue. That centered up. Got a clamp on it. Okay. Screw that down. Okay. A little excess glue. Okay, I think we're good. Now, what I'm going to do, get that one started a little bit more. Take these rails, put a little bit of glue on the end of each one. Okay. tighten these up. I'm going to finish putting the ones on this side, then we'll spin around and do the other side. Well, I've got this side all tightened up. I've just started here. I'm just getting each of these screws lined up in their holes and giving each one a little bit to start. I don't want them all the way in until I get them all ready. I do have glue on the ends of them. Just get the screw tip to line up in their little hole. I'll be doing good. There we go. Alright, that's coming along. Alright, next I'm going to do a little glue wipe up there, the glue that's leaking out. Make sure these are straight. I can still twist them. Right now I want to make sure they're all nice and straight. Then we'll come back and plug up these holes. For the screw holes, I have cut some plugs out of some of the scrap oak. And they go in at a tapered fit. Put a little wood glue on there. Line up the grain best I can. Take my mallet and give it a tap. Take my damp rag and get some of that excess glue. After letting the plug set up for a little bit today, I came back and cut those off with a flush trim saw and then resanded those to 220 once again. And now Jan has chosen a stain from the collection here. This is gunstock stain, and it looks really nice on the oak. So right now she's brushing it on, and she'll come back and wipe it down in just a second. Okay, now she's going to take a rag and wipe down the excess. I like that color, Jan.
I love it. I'm sure Mom's gonna like it too.
Okay, the stain dried overnight, and right now Jan has some 4/0 steel wool, and she's rubbing it down, and that will be done between every coat. Okay, Jan's applying the first coat of wiping varnish, which is 50% high gloss polyurethane and 50% mineral spirits mixed together. Just wiping it on with a rag. We will probably do about 3 coats like this, and in between each coat do the 4/0 steel wool again. Okay, back down here after several days. The varnish has dried very well, so what I'm going to do now, I've got some soapy water, some 2000 grit sandpaper, and we're going to rub it out a little bit. Knock out any of those little dust nubs that might be there. Rub this all down good, and I'll dry it down, go to the final step. Okay, it's all sanded up nice and smooth, and for the final thing, I'm going to put Renaissance wax on it. It helps protect it. It helps fingerprints too. Just apply a nice little coat here. I get the wax on, I like to use an old pair of flannel pajamas I've cut up. Makes great buffing rags. Well, for the final touch, Jan has picked up these cute little flowers here she wants to put up here on the sides. We usually put something on the sides of our quilt racks we make. So what I'm going to do, put a little CA glue on the back. Got it marked where I want it. I'm going to put a little activator right there. Put it right on my spot. Give a little pressure. Hold that for a minute, and these will be done. Well, Margaret, your quilt rack's ready. Jen and I have had a good time working on it for you, and I hope you enjoy it.